Oasis Audio presents Recorder, Children of the Consortium, Book 1, by Cathy Mccrumb. Read for you by Taylor Meskimen. Prologue. Personal Record. Recorder, Zeta 4542910-95451E. Consortium Training Center Alpha, Northern Hemisphere, New Triton. Standard Year 464, First Quarter. I did not have a name. None of us did. But once, when I was young, I had a friend. Early in my 10th year, I slipped away from the other girls of my cohort. Their approved games did not interest me, and since I had fulfilled my physical activity requirements, I took refuge at my favorite place near the artificial brook. Light sparkled on water rippling over smooth brown stones. Either the brook's engineers or its gentle flow had sculpted rounded banks in the loam, and lavender and thyme grew between orange lilies. The self-pollinating plants bobbed and dipped in the breeze, created by the giant fans in the lofty domed ceiling. It was a close approximation of a real brook, from what I had read, and its murmur muted the subdued noise of the other children. Without regard to whether my action might stain my gray uniform, I sank onto a bed of moss and breathed in the lavender-scented air, concentrating on the water's burble until footsteps interrupted my solitude. Shoulders tensed, I closed my eyes briefly and inhaled before turning toward the sound. A child from an older cohort threaded his way through the lavender and rocks. Though taller than I, his face was still rounded, so perhaps he had not yet reached puberty. Thick black lashes curled around his silvery eyes that glanced from me to the brook. He sighed, then lowered himself onto the moss. We sat together and watched water ripple over rocks. At length, I said, "The brook is quiet." "Yes, I prefer quiet." He picked up a pebble and turned it over and over in his hands before tossing it into the water. Have you ever made a boat?" I shook my head. He plucked several long, wide lily leaves and showed me how to weave them into shapes. For nearly 47 minutes, we made boats, affixing lavender stems for masts and setting them free on the water. I had never been so content. The bell tolled twice, and he left the way he came. I returned to my own cohort. The boy and his boats occupied my mind the following day. During free reading time, I skimmed through old texts until I found the correct word. After mathematics, I slipped away to the brook again where he sat, apparently awaiting my appearance. He inclined his head once in my direction, and I nodded back before kneeling beside him. We plucked lily leaves, carefully selecting them from different plants to avoid weakening any one in particular, and he sorted them by size. We sat side by side and wordlessly resumed building boats. It was almost time to return before I summoned the courage to ask, "Have you read about Friends?" "Yes." His silver-gray eyes met mine, but the bells rang, and we separated to rejoin our cohorts. The next day was a tour day. I disliked tour days. The citizens who came through stared at us as if we were laboratory specimens and spoke in poorly constructed sentences. Our recorder had explained that most citizens believed their tightly fitted, brightly colored clothing expressed individuality, though I did not understand their reasoning. They had names and chose their own destinies. Surely such distinctions of personality should have sufficed. Hair covered their heads, and their eyebrows waggled up and down when they talked.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?